Welcome to Our Jewish Roots, with insightful Bible teaching by Dr. Jeffrey Seif. In this program, an exiled man of prayer and focus was shown future events that would come before the end of time. Our focus is on Daniel, today on divine deliverance.
From the beginning, our Creator revealed His will to the common man. Individuals who listened to His call and responded in obedience. From the first Hebrew Avraham to the culmination of salvation in Messiah Himself, the Lord faithfully intervenes with His divine deliverance.
We're so glad you've joined us today. I am David Hart.
I'm Kirsten Hart.
Jeffrey Seif.
Today we are discussing and learning about the life of Daniel. Now we joke a lot about the fact that we grew up in Sunday school and you did not. We know about Daniel in the lion's den, and that's kind of it. There's a lot more to his life.
Do you have a song to go with that?
I was trying to think of one. There probably is.
Usually you got something, but he was thrown under the bus. That's a colloquial expression, thrown into the pit. It happens in life. People are turned on, they're betrayed, they're belittled. Daniel had all that and more. Boy, the devil was after him, but God had something to do through him.
He was incredibly faithful and devout, wasn't he?
Yes, and that's noted. His personal piety, his prayer life is second to none.
Well, excited to learn more about his life and how he is a divine deliverer in his own standing.
Yes. Our dramatic reenactment today shows us a window into Daniel's faithful devotion to God. Let's go there now.
And Daniel went into his house, and his windows being open in his chamber toward Jerusalem, he kneeled upon his knees 3 times a day and prayed, and gave thanks before his God, as he did aforetime.
I will lift up my eyes to the hills. From whence does my help come? My help comes from the Lord who made heaven and earth. It's a beautiful psalm. Once, by the way, I was paralyzed. I couldn't move my body from the neck down. All I could lift were my eyes. And a friend of mine, Paul Wilbur, sung that song, and I listened to it all the time. Daniel never heard that song, but he lifted his eyes to the Lord in good times and in bad. The Bible tells us 3 times a day. It was a habit. Seems that many of us have lost that in modernity. We see God when we need Him. For Daniel, it was a point. And he didn't just seek the Lord, not to minimize just seeking the Lord, but he faced toward Jerusalem. Even people who seek the Lord, and I'm pleased they do, many have lost their focus toward Jerusalem. Not me, hopefully not you. We're going to see what comes out of that focus as we look at divine deliverance and focus specifically on the ministry and word of the prophet Daniel.
Civilizations collided in the ancient world. As today, nations lift swords against nations. Wars and rumors of wars abound. Looking at the world through Daniel's prophecies, we learn how, as the battle rages on, God still watches over and protects His people, Israel.
When we open up the book of Daniel, we hear of the clash of titanic forces, titans going at it. It's not the kind of thing people really look for in religion. People are more predisposed to look for comfort. The word comfort comes from a Latin word meaning with fortification. In other words, there's enough troubles in the world. People go to church to take a step out of the world and transcend into the divine. What happens when you enter into the divine? That is the divine testimony anyway. And what do you read about? Troubles in the world. It's like you're not running very far till you see it again. In fact, not only do we find it in Daniel, but Yeshua, Jesus, mirrors Daniel as well when he talks about in the latter days, wars coming, Jerusalem surrounded, the world upended by trials and tribulations. And then finally, just when it looks like all is lost, then the Redeemer comes, makes his entrance onto the stage of the human drama. We see these pictures in the Daniel text where Daniel envisions beasts that are vile and gross. He sees horrible things. He sees animals clashing, and all of that is a picture of a world to come. In chapter 8, he says, Chazon nira Eli, and that is a vision appeared to me. And in his case, it wasn't a creative imagination, it was a divine stamp. And he gives a window in things to come. Now, Daniel, of course, is an exile prophet like Ezekiel is, and they're both displaced, and they're asking the question, God, do you have plans for Israel to come? And the answer is yes. This prophet gives voice to a deliverance that emerges out of turbulent times. He says in chapter 8, in verse 19, behold, I am going to inform you about what will happen in the latter time, the time of wrath. Again, he sees an upended world. And what does the seeing do? It prompts him to do something. Just like we began this program in the 9th chapter, we hear Daniel praying, seeking the Lord. Some are better at that than others. My wife is quite the prayer warrior. Frankly, the way I'm wired, I'd rather think it through in so many ways. But like Daniel, Daniel just didn't pray when he felt bad and a need and a crisis. It was a habit 3 times a day. And I mentioned that with my wife, I'm telling you. I look at Barry and I say, you are the way, the truth, and the wife. And I mention that every morning we get up, and she's so pious. She has us to take the Lord's Supper together, and there's prayer and Bible reading. She just leads me to it. She led herself by those still waters all of her life, and I'm glad to bear her influence. Well, I have my Daniel in the form of Barry, by the way, and Israel had their Daniel here in the 9th chapter. We get into his intercessory heart for the people of Israel, and it's out of his interceding for Israel that God gives him a vision for what's going to happen with Israel and his plan for redeeming the people in the time to come. It's a tough story. He hears wars and rumors of wars. And noteworthy in the vision that unfolds is this nefarious personality will emerge. He speaks of Israel reconstituted, a temple built, only to then be defiled by a wicked one. The Hebrews are pushed to the brink subsequent to that. But then redemption comes. There's a Jewish holiday that gives voice to that. They're the Maccabees that were overrun. Israel was overrun by the Syrians by dint of determination, but the Hebrews took to arms, a small band, and they had a good measure of success. When the Syrians took over, they inhabited a rebuilt temple. They defiled it grossly. And, Daniel envisions that, but he sees that and past that to a world to come at the ragged age of time when there's a particular wrath that descends upon the world. One will emerge known in the Newer Testament as the Antichrist. Yes, one day the devil has his day, but there's a clash of spiritual forces. And at the ragged edge of time, the devil who had his day loses his way, and he's bested by the Prince of Peace, who one day will come and make his entrance onto the stage of the human drama. For historical purposes, you read in the Bible, he's coming soon. How long is soon? It was said 2,000 years ago. The answer to that question is as follows. If you find yourself amidst the turbulence of trying times, in the middle of a spiritual warfare of a sort, if you feel overrun by sin and circumstances and you have little more than prayer, I'd suggest you to use it, because relative to the Lord saying, I am coming soon, I don't know exactly when he's coming to planet Earth. There's reason to think it's sooner than later. But the point is redemption for you is only a single prayer away.
If you only watch us on television, you are missing additional content available only on our social media sites, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. You can always visit our website, which is home base for all of our ministry activities and information. There you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter, watch the TV program, or visit the online store. Join us as we tour Israel and Petra. Please contact us for more information. We would love to hear from you.
We do our best to be accessible to all of you through our social media outlets. We look forward to meeting you and possibly chatting with you there.
Now let's see what Daniel's vision looks like in Israel's future.
Little did they know, as they made ready for the battle to come, that the battle they anticipated was predicted thousands of years ago. They fought on, even as they feared that the darkness would likely overtake them. But then they realized they were living at the dawning of a brand new day.
So you're wondering, where did he get this rifle, Jeffrey? From my closet. Well, what are you doing with that? Well, years ago, when I went to my first police funeral, I decided to get one in the aftermath when some officers were killed in the Dallas area. I used an assault rifle. I had to test on it and get qualified to use it because I would work deep nights, go out there on the streets. When I was concerned, the way I was concerned, the only person that should have been up then was the bread man or the milkman or the paper man. Everybody else was a little suspicious, and my suspicions proved true on occasion. I wanted to make sure I had a good weapon if I needed it. And that's true as a rule of thumb. When we experience difficulties, we want to make sure we have good weapons. I'm sure I'll get some mail for this, by the way. Even the dramas, when you see wars and modern Israelis fighting, some people take issue with that, and I know I'll get some bad mail because I brought this to the set. And that's because many construe that what it means to be religious principally is to be docile and sheepish and let the world just roll over you. That perspective holds the high ground. It doesn't hold the high ground in my thinking. Going way back in time, even St. Augustine wrote a book called Just Wars, and he raised the question, when is it incumbent upon men of faith to bear arms in defense of home and hearth? Well, I'm not so much looking to bring an apology for the prop that I brought to the set as much as to give voice to why I did it. When we look in the book of Daniel, we do hear a world at war, and that's the bad news. And if you wonder why there's bad news in a good news book, eventually the world is going to look like it says in the Christmas cards, peace on earth and goodwill toward men. And that's going to happen because of the Prince of Peace. Isaiah announces about this mighty God and wonderful counselor and Prince of Peace. And one day he makes his way, but until then, Satan is the ruler of this world, and we do have to contend in a spiritual sense, certainly, Israel in a material sense. Daniel says as much in the end of the book. He gives voice to what the Lord says. Go your way, Daniel, for the words are closed up and sealed until the time of the end. Daniel gives voice to a world at war, an antichrist, redemption to come, a rebuilt temple, an Israel nation state restored, a lot of stuff. Daniel is told, listen, go your way. This story is for tomorrow. He goes on to say at the end, you go your way, in verse 13, till the end. You will rest, and at the end of days, you will arise to receive your portion. He spoke earlier in the chapter that at the ragged edge of time, individuals arise from the dust of the earth, some to everlasting life, some to shame and everlasting contempt. And that gives credence in the Older Testament to the notion of Tehiyat HaMetim, the resurrection of the dead. Jewish folk will hear about the resurrection to life and go, I don't believe in that, I'm Jewish, that's just a Christian Easter story. Well, Daniel chapter 12, read the very beginning. The prophet says, many of those in the dust of the earth shall arise, some to everlasting life, some to everlasting contempt, in effect. And so it's divvied up that way. There is something of a judgment. This prophet is told, listen, you're going to run your race. You're going to live it, and one day you're going to arise and receive your reward. But this message is going to happen sometime in between, that is, before the resurrection of the last day. These words are not for you, they belong to the future. Friends, I can't help but wonder if the future is now. And I mention that because if we look at deliverance on planet Earth, we do well to personalize that, I grant. The question is personal deliverance. But God watches over His word to perform it, not just for individuals, but for those that are called into covenant with Him. And the Jews were called into covenant. There's land promises about a state, and we're living at a time today against all odds. Israel has been reconstituted as a nation state in that land. And to be sure, there's wars of rumors of wars, and it doesn't look like they're abating anytime soon. I'm not glorying in war, to tell you the truth, and I would hope to never pull this trigger outside of a firing range. I wouldn't want to do that. But I do know this. When someone's going into a battle, they need to take the best weapon they have. At the beginning of this program, I introduced you to a weapon greater than this. What am I talking about? Prayer. In the Bible, God is referred to as Adonai Tzevaot, the Lord of the armies. He who watches over His word to perform it can perform it with you, and He's the greatest weapon in the world. In fact, He's out of this world. One day He's coming back to this world, but He's here even now, one person at a time, and He's willing to make His home in you.
So we just saw Dr. Seif kind of in your element there holding an assault rifle.
Yeah, well, that was no doctor there. That's from the officer Seif
yes.
world.
Which is a big world for you.
Right.
It's a little weird, you know, most people, you know, I've been always bivocational. I've been a professor and I've had a police career, and that still carries on, but I'm less on the streets anymore. But I know it does shock the sensibilities to put a rifle on a set. And it's not just some prop I ordered. I actually am certified in the police world to use it.
But I think your point was that prayer and piety, that was a word that you used to describe Daniel, is even more powerful than that rifle you had.
Yeah, it's a greater weapon. And, you know, there's a lot of verses in the Bible about the weapons of our warfare are not of this world, of no weapon formed against you will prosper. I mean, biblical writers lived in a precarious world. I mean, Israel is perched at a place between, you know, Africa, Asia, Europe, the only land bridge. Armies are in there a lot, you know, and the world's precarious. And So they spoke about wars, and they knew rumors of wars as well. It was the way the world was.
And he lived in a very evil time. I mean, we think our time is evil now, and it is. But Daniel was living in this crazy world, and he stuck to his guns. Right? That was good. I didn't even plan that.
I was wondering, were you waiting to sneak that in, or that just came out?
It just came out.
Now I know why you married her, David. She's beautiful and intelligent. That's a great fun.
But he did, right? He really did. I mean, no was no, and yes was yes.
Yeah. Well, he did stick to his guns, to use your point, and he had this internal disposition, and I think that's the secret to success for Daniel and for you, for all of us, that Daniel had a personal faith and piety that really carried him through. And a lot of people jettison religion because, when the going gets tough, the tough get going, but he carried on, difficulties notwithstanding, and it paid great dividends.
Visions happened back then. I think Daniel had a vision of the future of Israel.
A number of them.
Yes.
Fascinating stuff. Yes.
And what we love in this ministry is we take people to Israel now, and we can take you there 2 times a year. There's a little pitch for our tours. And they can see the fulfillment of Daniel's vision, which is so exciting.
They can, and they're like Daniel in this sense. Even when Daniel was in exile, he prayed toward Jerusalem. And even for our viewers that haven't been there, there's something inside of them that inclines them there, or they wouldn't be watching a program like this.
It's good. We'll be right back.
Our resource this week, the series Divine Deliverance on DVD. These 12 programs examine how the Lord offered a message of salvation through significant Bible characters, beginning with faithful Abraham and ending with the Messiah himself. Each program includes location teaching, discussions of applications, plus the music of Zola. Contact us for the DVD series Divine Deliverance.
That was a beautiful song from my beautiful wife, Kirsten. Thank you for that song. You could join us in that exact location when we go to Israel 2 times a year. You can find all the information right there on levitt.com.
And I just want to say, I don't want to jump on you right there, just say a quick thank you to all of you that make this programming possible. Your faithful monthly donations keep us on the air and give us the accessibility to go to Israel to film those music videos.
Thank you.
Well, let's talk about accessibility for a moment. Some might not be able to make it to Israel. I want you to know that God is accessible to you wherever you are, and this is the difference between an Old Testament and a New Testament perspective, and that is that in the Older Testament world, individuals are making transitions. They're transposing themselves into Israel to keep the feasts, and we certainly want you to do that. But, you know, help and access to God is a prayer away because of the cross. And who knows? I don't know what kind of situation you're in. I just know my own, to tell you the truth, and my own inner family. But I want you to know that God's there for you, and Christian television is here to make Jesus known in the world. And He didn't just come into the world in general, wants to come into your world in particular. You don't need to get to the Bible world, but you need to get the Bible world into you, and that's a prayer away.
That's right. We thank you so much for your teaching today on Daniel.
Glad to do it.
Got another one next week.
Yes,
And
we do.
We will leave you with a song from our founder, Zola Levitt, but for now, would you close us?
Yes, we'll lead you from a word from the Bible as well. Sha'alu Shalom Yerushalayim.
Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Join us right now for additional content that is only available on our social media sites, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Visit our website, levitt.com, for the current and past programs, the television schedule, tour information, and our free monthly newsletter, which is full of insightful articles and news commentary. View it online, or we can ship it directly to your mailbox every month. Also on our website is the online store. There, you can order this week's resource, or you can always give us a call at 1-800-WONDERS. Your donations to Our Jewish Roots help us to support these organizations as they bless Israel. Please remember we depend on tax-deductible donations from viewers like you. This has been a paid program brought to you by Zola Levitt Ministry.